Chinese President Xi Jinping's video address to the high-level session, essentially sort of unofficial kickoff of the really important last few days here. This high-level session was when all the ministers essentially gathered for the first time in one of the big halls here, and President Xi's message kind of reflected the sort of best-case scenario in the room. Let me just run through some of the highlights, basically saying humanity lives has a shared future, whether it's the COVID-19 pandemic or boosting biodiversity and working with nature, essentially saying that global consensus is needed and very much stressing developing countries need help in capacity building to help them save their own biodiversities and also start replenishing them by 2050. Remember also that China is also going through its biodiversity efforts. It's set up, of course, this funding mechanism in Kunming when it hosted the preparatory work for this summit, and also President Xi highlighting the rapid growth of national parks in China, and I think that accounts for about 18% of all land in China, but about 30%, which is of course the target, 30 by 30, including 30% of land, 30% of water, has been redlined in China as areas to save going forward as well. So this is rapidly increasing. Also, President Xi saying, look, you know the Belt and Road is out there. We're going to try and merge that into the biodiversity goals that are reached here as well, which of course can help with developing countries going forward. Now, for the bigger picture, of course, remember, all these ministers just flown in. There are some big sticking points. The global biodiversity framework, of course, going on from 2020 is really setting some goals, which the overall goal, of course, is 30% of land, 30% of water being kept for nature. And then when you get to 2050, essentially adding to biodiversity every year as well. But there are big questions of how to pay for it, the funding mechanisms, of course, developing countries and very biodiverse countries saying, look, rich countries should bear a lot of the responsibility for this. And, you know, Europe's broke at the moment. They don't want to stump up more cash like they did at the climate conference in Egypt. So there is a lot of reticence going forward. But as you know, with these UN summits, usually goes down to the wire. There usually is some sort of agreement. It's not enough generally for pressure groups like environmentalists, but it's usually some sort of workable plan. The big question, of course, is how to pay for it, and also investment going forward. You know, they're trying to merge biodiversity and climate here increasingly, and there's a lot of pressure on companies to show that what they're investing in isn't harming not just the climate, but also nature going forward, and whether they should get credit for investing in areas that are sustainable and will increase the biodiversity, and how they can be involved in funding of those projects as well. Lots of really hard, difficult work, and whatever's decided of here, of course, has to be put into reality. Nathan King, CGTN, at the Montreal COP15 conference.